It's 1 a.m. You're exhausted. The real kind. The kind that sleep doesn't fix. But your brain won't stop. And the cruel part? The more you tell yourself to stop thinking, the louder it gets. Here's what nobody told you. You don't have a thinking problem. You have a feeling problem. And your brain has been covering for it your entire life. Think about the last time it happened. Maybe you're lying in bed, replaying a conversation from that morning. Not because anything went wrong. Your brain just keeps rewinding to that one moment. What you said, what they said, whether your tone came off wrong, whether you should have just stayed quiet. Or maybe it's an email you sent your manager 3 hours ago. You've reread it 4 times since. Not for typos, for tone. Was it too direct? Did it sound passive-aggressive? Should you send a follow-up, or would that make it worse? Or maybe it's not even something that happened. You're sitting in front of your laptop, deadline in 2 hours, staring at a blank screen. Not because you don't know what to do, but because your mind is somewhere else entirely, running a scenario that hasn't even happened yet. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, someone in your life has probably told you, just stop overthinking it. Let it go. You care too much.
I want to say this clearly. That advice is completely useless. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but it's based on a total misunderstanding of what's actually happening inside your brain right now. You're not alone in this, not even close. Dr. Susan Nolan Hoeksema at Yale University studied over 1,300 people and found that 73% of adults aged 25 to 35 experience overthinking on a daily basis. Daily. And 73.6% of them said it hits hardest when they're lying in bed at night. Which means if this is you, right now, at this exact moment, you are not the only one in that bed. But here's what that research also found, and this is the part nobody talks about. Overthinking doesn't help you solve problems. It deepens the pain. It quietly erodes the relationships around you, and the longer it runs, the harder it is to turn off. So why does it keep running? Why does a brain that's trying to help you end up trapping you? Because it thinks it's solving something. Psychologist Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan studies what he calls chatter, the dark side of your inner voice. And once you know the name, you start to see it everywhere. Your inner voice runs constantly. Even right now, as you're watching this, there's a voice in your head processing, commenting, narrating. Kross found that this inner voice runs at roughly 4,000 words per minute, faster than any conversation you'll ever have out loud. Most of the time, that voice is useful. It helps you plan. It helps you rehearse. It's your inner coach. But when stress goes up, when something feels uncertain or unresolved or threatening, that inner coach can flip. It stops asking, what can I do about this? And starts asking, why does this keep happening to me? It replays. It loops. It won't shut off. And here's the part that changes everything. Your brain isn't using thinking to solve the problem. It's using thinking to avoid feeling the problem. Researchers call this cognitive avoidance. Verbal thinking, the words, the analysis, the mental rehearsal, acts like a shield. It keeps you just busy enough that you never have to sit with the raw image of what actually hurts. The tightness in your chest. The feeling you can't name, but can't shake. Thinking feels like progress. Feeling feels like falling. So your brain picks thinking. Every time. Not because it's broken, but because somewhere along the way, it decided that was the safer option. And it learned that a long time ago. Picture this. It's a Tuesday night. You're 9 years old. Your parents are arguing in the other room. Not screaming. Just that low, controlled tension that somehow feels worse than screaming. You're lying in bed. Still. Barely breathing. And your brain starts running. Did I do something? Is it the grade I got? If I stay quiet enough, maybe it'll stop. If I bring them a glass of water, maybe it helps. You couldn't control what was happening in that room. You couldn't fix it. But you could think. and thinking felt like doing something, so you kept going. That's not a flaw. That's a 9-year-old building the only shelter available. The problem is, that shelter followed you everywhere. Into your inbox, into your relationships, into every conversation you've replayed at 1 a.m. Your brain got very, very good at this. It just never got the memo that the storm is over.
Here's where it gets interesting, and a little uncomfortable. You've probably been told your whole life that when something bothers you, you should talk about it. Vent to a friend. Get it out. That's what helps, right? Not always. Psychologists have a name for what often happens instead. Co-rumination. It's when you replay the same painful loop with someone who loves you, and instead of closing the wound, you keep it open. Activated. Alive. It sounds like support. It feels like support. But you hang up the phone and somehow feel worse, not lighter. Because venting keeps you in your head, inside the words, inside the story. What your nervous system is waiting for isn't more words, it's permission to finally feel the thing you've been circling, instead of narrating it. So what does that actually look like in practice? There are 2 versions of your inner voice, and learning to tell them apart is the whole game. Your inner coach thinks to move. It asks, what can I actually do about this? It sits with a feeling, names it, and moves on. After a hard conversation, it says, okay, that happened. What's next? Your inner chatter thinks to stay still. It asks, why does this always happen to me? It replays instead of resolving. It rehearses instead of acting. And it never quite lands on an answer, because the answer was never really the point. One of them is your brain working with you. The other is your brain working overtime. So which voice have you been listening to? Here's what I want you to hear. If you overthink, you are not weak. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive or too much. You are someone whose brain built the most elaborate shelter it knew how. And it worked. For a long time, it kept you safe. The chatter in your head isn't your enemy. It's an old alarm system doing its job, just without an off switch. You don't need to silence it. You don't need to fight it. You need to understand what it's trying to protect you from. Because underneath all that noise, underneath every loop, every replay, every 1 a.m. spiral, there's usually just one thing it's trying to say. I'm scared, and I don't know how to sit with that yet. None of us arrived here by accident. We all learned this somewhere. So the next time you're lying in bed at 1 a.m., mind still running, body already gone, you'll know what's happening. Your brain isn't betraying you. It's protecting you, the way it always has. And maybe that's enough, just for tonight, to go a little easier on yourself. Be patient with your brain. It's been working very hard, for a very long time.